Just going to give it a second for the live stream to turn on, and then we can get going.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
All right, we can get
Okay.
going.
Welcome to the Capital District Regional Planning Committee on May 18th, 2022. This meeting can be streamed through YouTube at CDRPC channel. Attendance, roll call.
Sure. Kristen Swinton is here from Albany County, Judy Bressler from Rensselaer County, Michael Stammel from Rensselaer County, Jackie Stallone from Rensselaer County. We have Joe Grasso, Opal Hens, Jason Kemper, and Craig Warner from Saratoga County. And we have David Hogenkamp, who's just joining, Gary Hughes, Joe Landry, and did I see Barbara Morrow? Barbara Morrow. We went from just barely having it to a surplus, which is great.
Okay, thank you, Mark. First order of business is to accept the meeting minutes for March 16th, 2022. Are there any changes required? No. May I have a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Barbara seconds.
For a second. Does anyone have any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed at all? Motion carried. Thank you. Second order is to accept March 16th, the statements through April 30th, 2022, memo 2208.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joining us in the room also is Larry Schillinger from Albany County. Through 4 months of the year, we're at 29% expenses and on the revenue side and 28% on the expense side. PAR is 33%, so we're tracking slightly under on both of those metrics. You'll note on the balance sheet that we have $108,000 in the bank, and this is right now straddled between our CEFQ account, which is new, and our old key bank account. I'm pleased to report that the transition has gone relatively seamlessly, which is great. Thanks to Amy and Tom for making that happen. We didn't bounce a check, which is good. We have new checks under CEFQ, and now all's right with the world. So we'll be leaving some money in the key bank just to take care of any accounts payable that may remain assigned to that account. Outstanding receivables at April 30th are just under $490,000. And that reflects the Q1 billings that are due to CDRPC. Any questions on the financials?
Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Good. Appointment of for memo 2209 and memo 2210.
Okay. We can take both of these action items as one if the consensus the board would like. So pleased to welcome to the team Zaynep Taz. She started on May 2nd here. Previously was the GIS planner for the town of Guilderland. She has a MRP degree from the University of Albany. So she's already proved herself to be very capable in the position, willingness to learn. So we're excited to have her on board. Also, we extended a job offer and it was accepted to Josh Dranoff. And as a reminder, we did a job solicitation for a sustainability planner back in January. For that one, we got 14 applications. Josh was one of the final interviewees. Back in January, because we did not yet have a contract with the DEC, we decided to hire an intern to sort of bridge the gap. But now that we have that grant contract executed, we're in position to hire for that position. So we reached back out to a couple of the candidates for sort of a second interview, and Josh rose to the top. So his start date will be June 1st. Previously, he served as the sustainability planner for Union College. And again, he's going to be a great addition to our team. So our outreach coordinators working on both the clean energy program and the climate smart program will include 3 staffers and potentially, and we haven't decided yet, another intern through the NYSERDA funded program.
Sounds good.
So Josh accepted the position between the A&F meeting and
Yes.
today. Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, then. Oh, 2211.
Sure. Well, pleased that we were able to announce with the DEC the sort of kickoff of the Climate Leadership Coordinator Services Grant back on Earth Day. We were waiting very, very patiently for the announcement of the program to start, almost as patiently as we were waiting for the contract. So for us, this is a large grant, continues our work in sustainability. I'd like to commend Todd Fabozzi and the team who put us in a position to be really competitive for this grant opportunity and continues sort of the agency's investment in our organization and their, I think, appreciation of the role that we play in the region as an honest broker and as a trusted advisor for communities and very well positioned to deploy these kinds of programs. So similar to the Clean Energy Communities Program, Climate Smart Program engages the same similar partners in the outreach endeavor, working with the Adirondack North Country Association in the Adirondacks, working with the Hudson Valley Regional Council in the Hudson Valley, and Mohawk Valley Edge in the Mohawk Valley. All told, I think it's how many counties? 36 counties?
28.
28 counties. Todd already has the slide on it, so I'm not going to steal any more Todd's thunder. So I've asked Todd today to give the board an overview of the new program. As you all are leaders in your own communities and counties, we want to leverage your contacts and experience and connections to help us promote the program and connect our outreach coordinators with communities that may be interested in participating in it and benefiting from it. So without any further ado, I'll turn it over to Todd.
Well, thank you, Mark. And thanks for the board to hear this out and to really play a leadership role in the state in accepting and directing these kinds of programs, because as you know, we've been able to step up and provide services even beyond the capital region. And we're only one of 3 recipients of this grant to cover the whole of New York State. And so our history with working with the Climate Smart Community Program and with DEC and NYSERDA and that kind of a partnership goes back about 10 years now. So going back around 10 years ago, we took on a pilot program to work with communities on the Climate Smart Community Program. And we did that for 3 years. At that time, it just covered 6 counties. So it was our 4 core counties plus Columbia and Greene. And that program, the successful deployment of that program helped to NYSERDA to think about how they could leverage regional agencies to provide services to local governments for state programs. And that was what the Clean Energy Community Program became. And then the framework for that program was this territory model, which we originally proposed, which includes 4 regions and 28 counties in total. And we've been able to now successfully deploy the Clean Energy Community Program under that model for 6 years now. And we have another just shy of 4 years of funding that we secured for that program. So the program is essentially to provide technical support to communities. So it's a community outreach and technical support program. And we have outreach staff that cover all and are assigned to all of the communities within that 28 county area. And we provide them 2 of the things that most communities need, and that is technical support and grant funding if they achieve certain milestones within the program. And so part of the Clean Energy Community Program, NYSERDA's program, did include climate smart community support. So we have been doing climate smart community support under this program with NYSERDA for the last 6 years, but only in a limited fashion, just with something called certification, a point-based program for helping communities become certified by achieving certain steps in order to reach that certification. What this new DEC program does is complement the existing program. It overlays with the same territory model. We're utilizing the same 3 regional agencies beyond our own as subcontractors. And we're essentially leveraging these relationships that we've built and been exploiting, if you will, for the last 6 years. So we really have built up a whole network of relationships with communities, and the trust that we've been able to develop with our outreach team, who are just a fabulous team across the board. And now we're going to be able to offer several other menu items, if you will, through the new DEC grant. So the DEC grant is for about $1.2 million. That's what we're responsible for throughout the whole territory. So we invoice that on a monthly basis. So, we're looking at $50,000 in invoices coming through every month. We have nearly double that with the Clean Energy Community Program. So we've been able to, that was a $5.3 million grant that we were able to recently re-up. So altogether, we have a lot of resources and are, I think, doing, phenomenal things for the communities by being able to leverage this program and bring it to the local governments. So the new program essentially allows us to add to the menu by promoting climate mitigation planning. That's one of the biggest items and one of the items that's front and center with our outreach team. And what climate mitigation planning is essentially to be able to first document the greenhouse gas emissions that come from the communities. So an individual community, we have tools that we've developed to look at their government operations and document their emissions. So we get a baseline for then setting goals for how to reduce them. And we also are going to be looking at community-wide greenhouse gas emissions and ways to reduce those. So that would include, the community at large, not just what the government itself controls. So we would be developing these then from those inventories, these climate mitigation, or sometimes they're referred to as climate action plans. And we will be working on those with whatever communities want to do those. We have a really good idea of who those communities are, since we're already working with probably all the communities we're going to be working with on these plans. And we certainly don't have enough resources in this program to work with. If every community wanted to do a plan, we would have a problem. So I think the challenge in this program, from my point of view, as we start out, is not so much how to get communities to participate, but what we're going to do when so many communities want to participate that they exceed the resources we have, because we really are only funding one new outreach coordinator per region to do this program. And so one person or one full-time equivalent can only do so many plans per year, but we're going to be able to gauge that and challenge, be able to determine how much support we can provide. What we're going to do is integrate the new, so we've added Josh, as you just approved, to our team locally with Haley and Tara. And what we're going to do is essentially take that one full-time person and distribute it across all 3 of those. So a third of their time will be on this new program. And then 2/3 of their time will continue to be on the Clean Energy Community Program. And so we'll be working on those climate mitigation plans. We've already been talking to communities about the possibility of or their interest in doing these plans. But there are some other elements to this program as well. We are going to be doing climate resilience planning, adaptation and resilience planning. And that kind of planning essentially says there's going to be impacts from climate change, and how do you respond to them? And how do you make your community more resilient to those impacts? How do we evaluate, for example, your critical infrastructure and map and determine where there could be issues with flooding? Excessive water is going to be a big issue in our region and already has shown itself to be the case. There are other issues that you look at within a resilience plan, and we're going to be doing 16 total of those. So those plans, we've been asked to determine ahead of time how many we can do and to resource those. And also the way we're going to do those plans is we're bringing on another subcontractor that is going to be responsible for the delivery of those plans. And of course, I'd be working very closely with them and our outreach team as well, but we will be working on those 8 plans per year throughout the territory. So that means there'll be 4 plans total done in the capital region, the 8-county capital region. And that is going to be through a subcontract with a consortium of Cornell cooperative extensions. So we've subcontracted with the Columbia Green Cornell as the lead contractor, and then they are coordinating with a group of other Cornell cooperative extensions that are going to be pulled on to develop the plans depending on which communities we end up doing the plans with. And since that's somewhat of a rationed resource, we're developing a rubric to determine the criteria for selecting which communities would be able to do those plans, and then going forward with those resilience plans. There's one more piece as well that's a new aspect, and that is transportation listening sessions. So we are going to be doing 6 transportation listening sessions, so-called, in which we are going to be developing sustainable transportation plans for 6 different communities. And that is also going to be done through a subcontractor, a local firm, a local woman-owned business, and it's a husband and wife team called Planning for Places out of Niskayuna, and they're going to be our subcontractor, in which we are going to be doing these 6 different listening sessions and developing sustainable transportation plans. And there's going to be some criteria for how we determine which communities do those as well. So we are going to continue our general support and outreach on the Climate Smart Community Program. Of course, we are going to be marketing the program. One of the things that we've been able to achieve marketing wise and what we've learned is in many ways, the way marketing has shifted countrywide, right? We've seen, like, if we go back to the 1940s, there was mass marketing, right? We had radio marketing and TV marketing, and ads went out to everybody. And that maybe that's kind of like our e-blasts now. But we find what's most effective is personalized marketing. Like we, all get now when we go on the internet and everything else, we're tracked individually, and then we have personalized marketing. But we've been able to develop such a network of relationships that it's kind of like personalized marketing for how we make known of these programs, as we reach out and talk to the communities directly and engage them. We've already started doing that, and we have a really good idea of what we have to do in terms of deploying the program. In fact, our first task, and one of the things I've been working on now, is a territory outreach strategy. So that's the first thing we have to get approved from DC. And it's basically how we're going to do the outreach on the program and what communities we're going to prioritize and those kinds of things. So that's the general gist of the program, and be happy to take any questions. And, just going back before that, just a tip of the hat to Craig, to Chairman Warner, just for your support of the programs in Malta as an example of how the board members can engage with our programs and with the communities. And we certainly ask that anyone else that's interested in that for your own community, I think the easiest thing is to reach out to me directly, and then what we can talk about, which outreach coordinator works with your community if you're not already aware, and the kind of services that you might be interested in. So I'll turn it back to you, Mark, and the board.
I think one of the hidden successes of the program is to be able to manage all the relationships and the partnerships that Todd and team have been able to do over the years. So we've been working with the same partner group for a lot of years, and that's all based on trust, and the fact that additional partners are willing to join the team is, I think, a testament to the successful relationships that have developed over the years. and I think the shared commitment to the goals of these programs. So kudos to Todd and team. Any questions?
I just wanted, that was a terrific report. And I really appreciate, you anticipated what the question I was going to ask, which was, what are the mechanics of the outreach to the communities, and the fact that, your group has been able to identify, sort of on a person to person level, how to make those contacts is terrific. The only sort of notion I have is what are we doing to share this information with the broader general public, so that the broader general public just has at least a basic opportunity to understand what the nature of the program is and the benefits of the program.
Right. So what we've been doing up to now, and we'll probably be following somewhat of a similar model, and perhaps expanding on it depending on the direction we get from DEC. But if we base it off of what we've been doing through the Clean Energy Community Program, so in addition to the regional agencies that we subcontract with, we also have some private companies that we subcontract with as well for more advanced technical support on project development, but also marketing. So one of our subcontractors has been Pat Courtney Strong, and we have used her services to be able to do quarterly webinars that have been broadcast across the state. And we have highlighted various aspects of the program, and we've made a point of highlighting what the communities themselves are doing. So we often bring in for a topic area a group of communities, and then we have to deal with a large area. So they're not always just from the capital region, because they're statewide webinars. And we have them talk about their experiences in the program. And we're developing a new quarterly webinar right now, in which we are going to be highlighting probably 4 different communities, in which they're going to be speaking about the different initiatives they undertook and how it benefited them. We find that kind of peer-to-peer inspiration is effective. And we've done that a couple different times in the past with our, when we used to meet face to face at Hudson Valley Community College for our conferences, we'd have panels there. And at other conferences, we partnered with ANCA, one of our partners in the North Country, for 2 different conferences in Glens Falls, in which we had a similar panel of community representatives that talked about the program. That's the first thing. Of course, we do regular e-blasts. So we do a regular, not only does CDRPC do its regular newsletter and e-blast, but then we do a sustainability e-blast that goes out to all the communities. So we're always looking to bring in new communities into the fold, not just the ones we're already working with. But then lastly, we have done a specialized quarterly newsletter in which the whole gist of it has been to highlight what the communities have done in this program. And so we highlight a community in each region of the 10 regions throughout the state, because it's a statewide newsletter, but we're the ones that, and basically myself and Pat are the ones who coordinate the whole thing and make it happen. And we are putting that next newsletter together right now. And those all sit on our website. So at cdrpc.org, if you go to the sustainability section and you go to the newsletters, you can see the whole documentation of all these newsletters throughout the years past up to the present that highlight what communities have done in these programs.
So just one follow-up on that. I don't want to take too much time. So the direct beneficiaries of the program are local municipalities.
Yes.
Our funding comes from the counties. To what extent are we able to, bridge that communication divide so that the counties are fully cognizant of the service that's being provided to the communities within those counties?
Well, the counties are in our programs considered communities. So all of the services that we've been providing are also directed at the counties. They're a hugely important part of the program and the success of the program. Some of the biggest grants have gone to the counties that have participated. For example, Albany County, I think in the last round got over $280,000 in grants to buy electric vehicles and other initiatives. So the counties are front and center in what we're doing. And of course, one of the ways that the board can support promoting these things is to promote it within your own counties. So we've made an effort repeatedly to get the counties to be involved in the programs or to be aware of the program. So they're one of the most important participants as well.
Right. So I would encourage everyone to forward the press release to your lists, your county legislatures, your county leaders. My sense, having worked with the DEC press office, is that we may have more opportunities to celebrate successes under this Climate Smart program than we have had under the Clean Energy program, simply based on the idiosyncrasies of the different operations in the different agencies. So hopefully that will be the case, because it's a necessary part to make a joyful noise about the good programs that we're doing, not just to our captive audiences, but to a larger cross section of people.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
A lot of hard work. Item 7, economic development and flip update.
Right. So
22-12.
we're working on a lot of stuff at CDRPC here. And, rather than just continue to put it into the staff report, I really wanted to have our program directors give you a direct overview. So Todd provided his, and I've asked Kate Maynard, our Director of Economic Development and Planning, to provide one outlining all the things that she's working on here. And it's a lot. And in addition, Kate's going to be able to outline our Future Leaders in Planning program, which is a significant sort of, it's a youth engagement and education program, introducing them to professions related to planning and sustainability.
Just want to make sure that was up. Thank you, Mark.
Sure.
And want to say thanks to the board for the opportunity to share overall some updates on our economic development program. I'm Kate Maynard. And so I'm just going to lead you through a few slides, a little more structure than Todd speaking as he goes to just define some of the projects we're doing. So to start things off, we'll first focus on something you may recall seeing in the staff reports for some time, as well as some of the independent updates. But the first kind of category of program we've been working on for some time now is the CARES Economic Recovery Program. So we have to go back in our time machine to the beginning of COVID. And when you start to see the variety of federal, state, and local responses, trying to understand where we were. So I would say this CARES funding was one of the federal responses that we saw in terms of, all right, we know economically there's a lot of things we need to get ahead of. We need to be able to respond to some of these effects that were being seen in terms of the COVID-related restrictions. So the CARES funding arose to the economic development districts. We're one of those, in the vein of $400,000 that was basically up to us to some degree to figure out how to spend on a regional level. So within this program, we provided some division in terms of where we thought, working with our stakeholders in the region, we had a lot of conversations about how can this best be deployed. And we took $200,000 of that, so basically half of that funding, and that went to sub-award projects, which I'm going to detail in just a moment. The other half we retained, and there's a portion that was used for, as the feds described it, as resiliency. So their focus was on stopping the hurt, economically trying to understand and get in front of what was going on, the effects. But there was also this category of really planning ahead. So resiliency, as kind of Todd mentioned, in terms of the environmental sustainability realm. How can we provide and build in some of that resiliency in our region for the current, as well as what might be future pandemics, other large events that we may build in kind of that inherent benefit. So within that portion, we also were able to look at some needs we defined. One was really providing, again, put yourself in that time machine. There really wasn't that time-sensitive data that people really were clamoring for. What's happening in the economy? What's happening in terms of job postings? What's happening in terms of migration? So I think we've talked about our economic recovery dashboard previously. But that was really developed and has been utilized for the past year and change to give that time-sensitive data as to what's happening in the region. So that's another example of what we did. The subaward projects, just to detail those, the pictures correspond somewhat with them. We have definitely a regional wind energy, or the offshore wind in particular, vein in terms of projects. So the first one is that resiliency element that we looked at. So again, working with all our stakeholders and partners in the region, we defined a project with CEG and also some funding from National Grid to provide a supply chain study. So this is looking at the enormous opportunities that are going on in our two ports, Port of Clemens, Port of Albany, and looking at how, along with our partners, we can really employ the best benefits regionally for local employment, additional businesses, job creation, all those metrics that we look for in the region. So that is nearing completion. That draft is being reviewed at present. But that's something we see of immense benefit in moving forward that will assist with hopefully getting the regional benefits continuing with that overall program. One of the subaward projects related to that was Albany counties. So they actually parsed their funding out. So half they wanted to go to the community loan fund. So this is kind of that immediate relief category. And the community loan fund had a business assistance program. So $25,000 of their funding went directly to that. And then half was a more long-term view back to the wind energy side. And they wanted help to basically complete a site selection study. And this was a physical study for sites looking at what might be opportunities for, say, new businesses or expanded opportunities related to the supply chain of offshore wind. So we're able to deploy that. And that also is in draft stage being finalized. The other three counties, Schenectady County provided direct technical assistance to county organizations. So that, again, that direct response and a lot of that coordination and collaboration with all their network across the county. That's nearing completion. Rensselaer County wanted to focus on a business survey to understand the hurt or the needs of businesses in that moment. And they've actually taken more of a shift to a more proactive sense of understanding some of those needs in their community business environment, and then developing and deploying resources such as they developed an agricultural-based newsletter, which they thought really filled a niche of need within the county. Saratoga County, actually Todd mentioned briefly the resiliency side of things. SEDC, working with Saratoga County, was able to take on their project for the county, and they really focused on infrastructure resiliency. So we're seeing a picture down at the left here, but really the focus of that project, which is, I would say midpoint currently, is focusing on everything from roads to the power grid, to our public utilities, to things like broadband, and understanding what are potentially deficiencies or shortfalls, and where the planning and especially coordination among the different services, how that could be focused on. So they focus, and again, they're about midpoint in that process. Of course, there's real life side of things. There's staffing that was halted or issues with that during COVID. So 2 of these projects are now nearing completion. So we are asking for an extension from EDA to allow for time for those subaward projects to be completed, as we know that they will be.
I wanted to just mention that through April 30th, 73% of the 400,000 has been spent now. So we have only that remaining 27% to do in the final quarter, and any extensions for the subawards.
Yes.
Our portion of the project funds will be spent down by the end of next quarter.
That's a good addition. So another main category, and again, this is something that CDRPC I think is really known for, is the regional leadership and collaboration with our partners. So there's definitely a lot of work that's been going on. I would say in the overall category of connecting good projects and programming with the vast array of federal resources that have come online post-pandemic. Is that one okay? Oh,
Yeah, I just have to admit.
okay. So a few examples of this are, there were regional application opportunities. So we worked hard with CEG and a number of other partners on the EDA Build Back Better Challenge and the Good Jobs Challenge. to take one of those, just to give you a little information, Good Jobs Challenge was a regional workforce development program. So within that, we were able to put together a number of different categories, from advanced manufacturing to healthcare, and provide even more of a network system that could really be deployed and further that overall programming within the capital region. Part of our role too is we would hear about other applications, and we were able to speak with them and see if there was the ability to fold those single applications into this common application. That obviously is great on a federal perspective. They're looking at applications from the capital region. We're not competing against ourselves. So we thought that was a real win, even before things are under review, that we were able to fold in actually 2 or 3 separate applications under the umbrella. So it's just one application that the EDA is seeing from the capital region. We were also able to work hand in hand, first providing connection to Albany College of Pharmacy, CBET, as well as the City of Schenectady. We obviously did this with a lot of different people in the region, but we were able to connect them to the Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. They were basically awarded more dollars. So it was a more financially able program to give more grants out as a result of some of the rescue plan funding that was allocated. So City of Schenectady, Albany College of Pharmacy, CBET were 2 projects very worthy in terms of both local and regional benefit. CBET, for those who maybe have heard of it, not quite sure what it is, they are really going gangbusters in terms of biopharmaceuticals. And they're a really important part of the spectrum in the capital region in terms of the workforce development training. So really getting people qualified and able to take jobs that think of Regeneron, think of Curia, think of other opportunities, as well as into the commercialization. So one element of what they provided for, they're looking for additional highly technical lab space, is it would also serve as an incubator for, say, a small business that is looking to have the ability to test their concepts, provide proof of concept. In lab space, they don't have to get paid for. So those incubator spaces that have the potential to grow and actually take place within the region, they were looking at that spectrum in terms of their project. The second one is the City of Schenectady. This is through their Office of Affirmative Action. So working hand in hand with their staff, they are very interested in securing additional funding for their Economic Empowerment Center. They look at a variety of programming that is focused on the Hamilton Hill portion of the city that will provide a direct pipeline for especially neighborhood residents, city residents, into what are maybe opportunities they're not aware of currently. One kind of different one, just to kind of highlight, is they're looking at a pipeline of civic jobs. So say connecting folks, as I mentioned, from the city to what might be firefighter jobs, might be public utility jobs, might be DPW or within City Hall itself, and looking to proactively connect more people into these pipelines. So taking kind of that venue of where there's shortages, vacancies, Kurt and I were just saying, trying to fill those with people locally to that opportunity. So we'll see how those go. We're very hopeful that these will receive funding. The second one, City of Schenectady, we also connected to an NBRC funding application. So they were able to also complete that in hopes of receiving funding from that source as well. In terms of broadband, this is a project we were awarded funding from NBRC. What's interesting about all our different regional definitions, NBRC is focused on 3 of our 4 general counties. So Rensselaer, Saratoga, and Schenectady. Albany is not currently an eligible county. We wish we could get them in that category, but Greene County is. So NBRC asked if we would also serve as kind of the entity for them to basically move forward this regional project on broadband. General idea here is to progress broadband, so meet communities where they're at and be able to progress either the planning, the inventory side of broadband, or into project planning and then implementation. So really improve that. We see one of the roles here that we can play is to really connect to what's going on in the space. There's a lot of federal efforts. There's different localities and counties at different points in the process. There's a statewide inventory that's being completed by New York State DPS. So we see one of the roles in this is to really connect known opportunities, resources, challenges, and hopefully connect to tangible progress on the overall where we don't have really good broadband, rural areas, for example, or what might be lack of subscription in areas where it is available. And one of the highlights we see is really preparing our region for the federal or state funding applications with the amount of funding we see currently available and then in the pipeline, especially in the future. So we're working towards that as well. Okay, a point again, you probably may have heard about. This is part of our programming over the years, but we also complete regular economic impact analyses. We use software called InPlan, and we see this provides a really important resource at low cost for stakeholders in the region to really gain a sense of what might be some of the potential economic benefits of a project. Two examples to share here that are recent. We do a lot of work with Capitalize Albany. And so what we do is a lot of project-based analyses. So for example, Capitalize Albany is looking at an application for a particular subsidy or support. And so Capitalize Albany asks us to complete an analysis that provides for a sense of the project dynamics and what it may include in terms of both the construction benefits as well as the longer term operational benefits. So things such as employment, the indirect effects from that overall work. A recent one that we were able to help Capitalize Albany with as well was in their federal application they submitted for federal funding for the Clinton Market project, which is located adjacent to the Skyway project. So again, looking at kind of the cumulative effect economically of what might be an important element in the city of Albany. University of Albany, we are underway. We're awaiting the data from the university as a whole, but they've asked us to update the overall analysis of economic impacts of the university as a whole. So that's a larger project that will be underway with as soon as we get that data. And now closing with somewhat of a fun program that is all ours. And I want to definitely mention at the start, Amanda Diaz, who's here at the table. She's helped immensely as our intern in developing this year's program. So this gives you a couple snapshots. In a second, I'm going to flip, over to our website. I like that one in terms of this program, but a brief reminder for those, because it has been since 2019 that we had an active in-person program. The real idea here, Mark kind of mentioned this in the beginning, is really at the high school age. So rising juniors and seniors really connect students early to the world of urban planning. So think of sustainability, think of transportation, think of community engagement, and offer it in a way that it's a hands-on experience. So students are going to projects around the capital region, and they're having a chance to understand everything from how does a project actually arise? How does something get built in a community? What's a planning board? What do they do? And have the ability to really understand some of these dynamics at work. We see it as a potential workforce development opportunity. You know, what is planning? Most people, Tara and I were speaking before the meeting, most people don't have a sense of what planning is unless you have a direct connection later on. So it's an early touch to get kids thinking about what might be potential academic movement forward. We have, as this year's program, co-sponsors the Department of Geography and Planning at UAlbany. So we're working with their faculty and staff. We have 3 students, 2 graduate, 1 undergrad, who will be assisting with building the content and deploying the program. It's going to be held 1 week in August at the ETech building at UAlbany as our center. And then we'll be jumping off from points there around the region. Let me just.
Yeah, what's the age group that's targeted?
Sure. So we're targeting right now ages, it's generally 16 through 18. So it's kids who are going to be juniors or going to be seniors. Quite honestly, we've had a lot of interest. And I think one thing I wanted to share is, and please bear with me, hopefully you can all see this now, those who are on the call. That's tough, you can't see both at once, huh?
Well, I think the strategy here is that you have to stop the share. I know it's frustrating, and then restart the share.
Okay,
So new share.
doesn't just follow along with me, huh?
It's not that smart yet, you know? They're working on it.
Ding. Come on, Zoom. So one of the things definitely to share is just thinking of our role. Not only do we see this as an exciting program, and our partners seem to agree. We have a lot of very interested returning partners such as CDTA. You see here in the pictures flashing through. We'll be utilizing the bike share bikes for kids to understand hands-on different ways of mobility around the region. They're also going to provide free of cost, complimentary, they're a great partner, the busing. So we can get students to the sites for the 3 days we're in motion around the region. So we have a host of different sponsors, and I'll show you the schedule in just a moment that we're building on. We've also been able to build on additional partnerships. So in 2019, we worked with the Clean Tech program. So that's headed by the Ballston Spa School District, but it's bringing kids from a number of school districts within their region of focus. Part of a regional organization, our goal is we really want to expand the accessibility to kids from around the region. Really, we want to reach a cross section, gender, racial background, urban, suburban, rural backgrounds, to use that word again. So we're really trying to expand that. And we've had some great connections with school districts around the region, Quest R3. So continually building up what those partnerships can be. We have updated our webpage here, thanks to Amanda. And we have now opened up applications for students to apply. We have 15 spots available for students. 15 we are holding for Clean Tech, our continuing partner with the program at this time. So 30 in total. This is all available on the website. So you can definitely check it out at your leisure if you're interested, or obviously let me know if you have questions or any thoughts. But we're basically going to be at eTech on Monday and Friday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we'll be exploring locations in Troy, Albany, and Saratoga Springs. New this year too is students are going to be working on an actual project. So we're working with the City of Troy with a specific waterfront site, and students will be able to really apply what they're learning throughout the week towards building a concept plan for this particular location. So they'll be able to say, we should do this mobility wise, we should do this maybe sustainability wise, solar panels, who knows what it might be. And so they will actually present to a panel on Friday and get feedback on their projects as a whole. So I think that with that, that covers the gist of it. I guess just to note too, is we are getting a lot of interest in FLIP outside the region as well. One example of that is we had planners from our colleagues at a regional planning commission down in Tampa, Florida, very interested in our program, wanted to walk through how we did it. We're very complimentary as to what we were offering, and we were able to share a lot of information with them in the hopes that they will continue to progress their program. We're all learning from each other is kind of how we see it. So we're very excited about the week and how that will go. Again, if anyone has any questions or any thoughts, please share now or reach out afterwards. So with that, I'll take any questions or thoughts anyone might have.
Great.
I have one quick question on
Sure.
the broadband access program. How come Albany County doesn't meet the criteria?
Yes, we've talked with Albany County folks about this. It was, our understanding is when the commission was actually formed, it was basically up to the federal legislators as to what counties to include. We would love to see Albany County, of course, included in future rounds. For example, there were 2 counties in Vermont that were added this year. Initially, we were very excited. We heard counties were added. We thought, oh, maybe. So that we can tell, this would be a question for our federal Congress people to discuss.
Is
with
someone
us.
having that conversation with Paul Tonko or Gillibrand?
It's probably something we could reignite, to be honest, because I know we have brought up when it came up. I remember going to, I think it was Gillibrand. We went to a couple of the offices just to mention the possibility, but it could be something
And
that
it's in
could be
Tonko's
looked at again.
wheelhouse, because I think he's on the science. and
Right,
technology
correct.
It's
committee.
just sometimes somewhat challenging for us to lead the effort because of our role as the designated local development
Understood.
district, Hatch Act issues. But we want to make sure the parties are aware and are connected. So
Yeah.
that's what I think we'll follow up on, making sure Kevin O'Connor in Albany County is connected with Taco's office. They know the issue, they know how to navigate the legislation, the timeline.
What's Kevin doing? with Albany County?
He
was with
is
Tech-
he's-
Tech Valley Communications.
Right, so now he's the head of the Advanced Albany County Alliance, which is their economic development agency.
Oh, I know
Yeah, but we are working within what we have as, this is the setting, the context. So for example, on broadband, Albany County has been close at the table and they've been sharing their work products moving forward. And we do hope there's an opportunity to fold in. I mentioned one of the goals might be, say, submitting for federal funding, being able to then kind of fold in everything, the opportunities together
Mhm.
and go for funding that includes Albany as well. So I would say we're doing the best we can with the context of what we have, but would love, of course, to see them added to the mix.
that. Super.
So one thing I just wanted to mention, while I'd like to first thank Kate for pulling together this program. I think it's a great program and all of our other work in the economic development portfolio. You know, it's kind of the balance. If we're gonna ask you, Kate, to do all the federal paperwork, you have to do something fun, right? Or else you just kill yourself.
Thank you
So
for that.
That's the balance.
As I fill out
Negotiate the case.
update after update for the feds. yeah.
But really
That's
great
not fun.
partnerships.
Oh.
You know, like to thank obviously Carmen Brazil for CDTA
Yes.
for being so generous with the buses. President Havidan Rodriguez, who's donating space in the E-Tech building. The farms that are involved, City of Saratoga Springs. I mean, the list goes on and on. People really
Yes.
want to engage in this program and are excited about a meaningful way to introduce sustainability and urban planning to the younger audience. So
Yeah.
kudos to you, Kate.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but, you know, I was helping out in the flip program in the early stages and it was just remarkable to see these kids become actively involved in something that they didn't even know was out there, was planning. And you have taken it to another level, there's no question about it, and I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you for that.
That was great, and it's a hands-on partnership with many organizations, and thank you.
Oh, thank you. And I think there's a lot of room for growth. What we're sensing is
It
just this
sounds
clamoring for, we've had requests for, when I talked to the City of Schenectady, their school district, a program focused on Schenectady. We've had requests to do in-school curriculum. We've had requests to do younger student programming. So if this is something that we or our partners, say at APA, et cetera, want to get involved in, I think there's a lot of room for growth, a lot of desire. Thank you.
Thank you much. Okay, going on to item 8. Water quality update, 2213, Martin,
So-
enlighten us.
Yeah, our Director of Water Quality Programs here, Martin Daly, working on a lot of stuff. We've reached sort of a big milestone in the CSO program that he oversees. There's a tour today at noon of the Beaver Creek Clean River Project. So if you have not RSVP'd and you'd still like to go, I just need to confirm with Martin that that's not going to happen. So if you
No.
didn't get your name in, don't show up. But we have on the list Mike, Craig, Larry, Jackie, and anybody else? I think we had 5.
I think you have 6. Didn't Joe sign up
Oh,
also?
yes, Joe Landry.
Mhm.
Great.
Okay.
So that's the folks that we have on our list. So we're looking forward to seeing you at noon. So without any further ado, introduce Martin.
Sure. There is a memo in your packet which summarizes activities in the water quality program. Mark mentioned the major milestone, really the construction of the Beaver Creek Clean River facility, which is ongoing. It's slated to have a December completion date, although like many construction projects that are occurring in the region, Albany has found difficulty with labor and supply shortages, especially when it relates to electric equipment that will be needed at the site. So there is the possibility that that project may be delayed, but it will not have an impact on the recreational season. We've also been communicating to DEC about modifying the post-construction compliance sampling program that was slated for this next summer to take place in 2024, as the facility will be looked to be dialed in as far as how their treatment operations are working with their chlorine and sodium bisulfate in order to do the disinfection for that facility. But things are progressing, and the screens at the South Plant, Albany County South Plant, are almost done. modification of that project was that screenings would be separated at the facility and sent to the south plant where they'd ultimately be removed. And that was in response to some feedback from the community concerned about screenings being removed at the facility itself, necessitating trucks to come in and remove the screenings at the facility. So that's moving along quite well. We have about 5 remaining projects, 2 in the city of Cohoes, or 6 rather, 2 in the city of Cohoes, 2 in the city of Troy, and 2 in the city of Albany. So we'll be looking to secure grants to make sure those projects are as affordable to ratepayers as possible. We have been working diligently with the Environmental Facilities Corporation, I call them the bank, in making sure that projects are able to be dispersed against so that the communities can go with any vouchers that they have from their neighbors and be able to draw down on funds to keep cash flow moving. Cash flow is really important at this stage because we, on a monthly basis, are processing between $2 and $7 million of invoices. So cash flow is of critical importance, especially to the city of Albany for carrying the bulk of the project volume. So we are continuing to meet with the FC and make sure things are dispersible and moving along. But so far we're on track. We're meeting our deadlines and the program is advancing quite well. We are completing a watershed protection plan, a drinking water, source water protection plan for the Watervliet Reservoir, which is located in the town of Guilderland. We have a number of strategies that could be implemented by Watervliet and Guilderland and county agents, county parties to be able to protect drinking water quality, a number of proposed projects and programs that the community surrounding the reservoir could implement. So that should be on the table soon. We do have a draft of some of the materials sent to Watervliet, and we're waiting back some feedback on that before we send it to the communities surrounding the reservoir like Guilderland and Rotterdam. We will be wrapping up the Tumhannock Reservoir Protection Plan this year as well, and we are still hoping to coordinate with a Saratoga County community. We reached out to the town of Hadley without much success about doing a source water protection plan for wells that the town relies on for their drinking water supply, but we'll continue to press for that opportunity. We've also been coordinating with other regional planning commissions throughout the state on the next 4 years of the grant program we operate under. We have a 4-year grant program through DEC. It's called the 604B program. That program has traditionally funded us between $50,000 and $55,000 per year in each one of those 4 scheduled years. And so we've been coordinating with the other regional planning commissions to define a scope of services that we could provide to the state. Certainly advocate for greater roles for planning commissions. We have, like our neighbors, we have developed these source water protection programs, and we really want to see them implemented. We don't want to see this be a plan on the shelf. So we think the best way to leverage the development of these programs and to get them implemented is to continue to work with the communities and see these projects through. So we'll be communicating with DEC that if another 4 years comes out, which we're optimistic it will, that we can see more leveraged to regional planning commissions to not only continue this great work, but be able to provide assistance to communities for the drinking water source water protection program and the new MS4 permit, which is certainly going to place a number of burdens on regulated permittees that many have communicated that they're just not prepared for at this time. So water quality, there's a lot on the horizon. We're looking forward to meeting our goals in the long-term control plan and wrapping up our projects with the 604B program. And we're optimistic about the next 4 years of that particular program so we can remain engaged with communities in the Capital District.
Great. Thanks, Martin.
Thank you, Martin. You have a hands-on approach. There isn't any question on that at all. Carry a handful. And
Thanks.
thank you much. Okay, staff report.
Well, the director's presentations really took up the entire staff report in detail. I will only mention 3 things. One, our webinar series continues through early June. I think we have about a dozen or so presentations. Thank you to Martin Daly for leading that effort. We're going to be talking about accessory dwelling units, I think, and marijuana regulation, a lot of other good topics, so check it out. 2, technical assistance program, our joint technical assistance program with CDTC is also open for application. So if you have a municipality or aware of a small project related to planning, It's relatively flexible, so if they have a project idea, they can send an email to techassist@cdrpc.org and schedule a meeting. And third, we will be opening or have opened solicitations for our Corning Awards. That's awards for intermunicipal collaboration. And again, if you are aware of any projects that fit the bill, we encourage them to apply. That's it.
That's it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, staff. Is there any other issues that somebody has addressed going forward? Hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you very much. We will see you on July 20th, 2022. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Cruising right along.
Good meeting.